calorie counting is a very common approach taken to lose fat and weight, especially to get shredded, right? However, knowing that nutrition labels are incorrect most of the time, let's see if this is actually worth it. In an article written by Precision Nutrition, they suggest that calorie counting may not be worth the work. Because number one, calorie counts are imprecise. Number two, we don't absorb all the calories we consume. Number three, how we prepare the food actually changes the calorie load. And number four, individual people actually absorb calories uniquely. So before we get into the details, I have to mention that most foods are labeled in the legal limit of 20%. So to look at the big picture, although the error on individual foods may be quite large, what is the error on a whole day of eating? So the whole day calorie number will probably be within a range of, let's say, 3 to 5% of the quote-unquote true figure that it says on a nutritional label. Also, the whole day of tracking will probably be a lot smaller than you may think, because even though there will be some positive errors, they will cancel out the negative errors as well. And if you even want to zoom out a little further on a telescope, literally the average error rating in a month of these foods will literally be almost insignificant. Not even almost, it will be insignificant. So what happens if the food manufacturers skew the calorie numbers on the nutrition labels either up or down? Well, if you eat a mix of foods, most likely some of them are going to be skewed up and the figures are going to be higher than it says, and others are going to say the opposite, they're going to be low. Now what happens there is, in the long term, it will cancel each other out. And number two, if you eat foods that, let's say, they constantly go in the direction of always up, right? The figures are always much higher than expected. Well, if you go to the same supermarket and you eat the same foods, you eat the same mixed meals, again, that same number will stay the same unless you change supermarket or you just change your diet altogether, which leads me to the next point. And that is, let's say you eat, again, a mix of foods, they're all skewed in one direction. So let's say, for example, they're all wrong and they're, let's say, 50 calories over. Instead of eating the same diet, so that number will roughly average out, and then you can adjust your calories. So for example, let's say you shop at Aldi, you eat a diet of 2,500 calories. Now, you're not losing any weight, you've kind of, quote unquote, hit plateau. Okay, you drop your calories by 200, now you get weight loss. However, if all of a sudden you go into a different supermarket, you're buying completely different foods, you're changing your diet up completely, now that might lead us to not such a great scenario. But as you already know, we as humans are creatures of habit. We do the same shit day in, day out. So if you want to think even more critical, think about your physical activity levels, right? So you can even think of, quote, EAT, so exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, this can literally change from day to day. What about your NEAT levels, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis levels? Literally the calories you burn subconsciously. Again, this can roughly change a little bit day by day, and probably a bit more drastically if you're in a calorie deficit as well, which will be called adaptive thermogenesis. But you get a point. There are way more factors involved than just literally a small little minutia of the calorie intake on a label being wrong by, let's just say 20%, even though, like I said at the start of the video, it's probably about 3 to 5%. So again, addressing the point of precision nutrition, saying that calorie counting may not be worth the work. Well, if you want to, like, you don't really give a shit about your results, then yeah, maybe so. But as you know, let's say, for example, let me use an analogy. So you use the same weight scale every single day to track your weight, right? Now all of a sudden you go to the gym, you use it at a different time of day and you use a different scale. Your results will be skewed in one way or the other. So calorie counting, in my opinion, is a good place to start, right? Like I said, in the long term, in the monthly, in the yearly, the error rate is so small, it's literally insignificant. So for that reason, I'd suggest to almost any single person, again, depending on the situation, of course, not getting into too much detail, but calorie counting will not hurt. Even if it's just for 1 to 2 weeks, just to make the individual aware of how many calories they are consuming. Because in an article that they wrote, yes, people do not eyeball the calorie amounts correctly, which counting calories will help raise their awareness. So instead of thinking a chicken breast this size is, let's say, 100 calories, when in reality it's 300 calories. You know what I mean? So my opinion, calorie counting is worth the work. Now, one thing I have to mention, I know some people that are learning from Precision Nutrition, and I have heard a lot of good things about them, so I'm not shitting on them by any means. Obviously, I'm just addressing the point, because a lot of other people might see that and say, well, if nutrition labels are incorrect, well, what's the point of counting calories? Let's just do intuitive eating, or intuitive eating, however you say that. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, stay positive, stay smiling, let's get it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.